If you're offering productized services, but you don't have a streamlined workflow or way of managing client projects, you may have been sold one of the hundreds of fancy, dense, and expensive softwares out there. Now, don't get me wrong, I've tried and I've used some of them myself, but I have an ethos that I stand by in nearly everything I do. Simplicity scales and complexity fails. The fact that I need a PhD in project management plus spend money on an expensive subscription just isn't right for me. And I'm here to tell you that after having generated over $200,000 while traveling last year, selling productized services with a free and simple tool, one that you're probably already using, then this video is for you. Because by the end of it, I'm going to show you how to build, streamline, and templatize your own client portal. And if we haven't met and you're wondering, who am I to tell you how to streamline your workflows? Well, my name's Daniel Mamba. I've been offering productized services for the last 5 years. So by the end of this step-by-step video, you're going to come away with your own client portal that I've used and refined over all these years that'll take you less than 30 minutes and it won't cost you hundreds of dollars in expensive subscriptions. The tool that I live by that runs my entire personal and business life is called Notion, and it's free to download. I've included a link just underneath this description. The majority of the productized services that I help my clients with is producing educational video content. I've created standalone dashboards for each of my clients that I share with them that they can view, manage, add details and add notes, and work with revisions. And if this all looks quite overwhelming, don't worry. I'm going to be starting from scratch today, and this entire video is a walkthrough, which means you can pause it, come back to it anytime, and build this out. Trust me, this will take you less than 30 minutes, even if you're a beginner. You just need to follow all the steps that I'm doing, and you'll be cooking with gas. But if there is anything that I miss, throw them into the comments below, and I'll make sure that I get back to your questions, or I'll make a revised version of this in the future, depending on your feedback. So once you sign up for a free account with Notion, and you've logged in either through the web browser or through the desktop app, all you want to do is in the top left, you want to click on create a new page, or depending on the software that you're using, Command N or Control N, and it's going to create a new page that looks a little bit like this. So for the purposes of this walkthrough, I'm going to use a fictitious client called Acme. So where we're going to start is we're actually going to build out your client portal page. And this is basically going to be the hub for where both you and your client can share any key links, any resources, and most importantly, track all of the requests or the projects that you have going as part of your productized services. Now, the really nice thing about Notion is with a couple of really subtle and easy changes, you can elevate the appearance of your portal without having to have a background in coding. So for example, we might kick things off by hovering your mouse over here at the top, adding a cover. I don't really like that violin or that kind of Renaissance artwork, but just a really nice kind of like header like that. And you might add an icon. Now, in my instance, you may have the logo of the client or your own logo that you want to put here just to brand it and to give it a bit of a elevated look. Already, it looks like it's just got a bit more of a professional feel, and we've really only taken 10 seconds to do that. If you want, alternatively, you can use an icon or you can use an emoji. I think for professionalism, I don't mind uploading a custom icon you can create in Canva or whatever design editing tools that you have. What you may want to include with your client with productized services is at the very top, it's kind of like a contents or a short list of the most important links relating to your engagement. So typically this may relate to your payment link, a link to your communication platform, a link to where your deliverables or outputs will be shared, and also a set of instructions to help them navigate and use this dashboard if they haven't used Notion before, or if you've got some particularly nuanced instructions. So I'm going to build it out with you right now. The way that Notion works as a no-code tool is that if you hit backslash on your key, you can then create all of these blocks, tools, or elements according to what you want. Now, you can see there's a lot on the screen right now, and I don't want to overwhelm you with using them all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called the call out block. So if you start typing CALL, it'll shortlist to call out once you've hit that backslash and you've written call. Now you can change the color and the look of this. So for example, if your brand is very, very clean and minimal, you can change the icons and really go to town. I want to keep today really, really simple. So you might have a Stripe billing link or a portal link. I might just update that to portal link over here. Once you then access your own Stripe billing payment link, or maybe on PayPal or whatever platform you use, you can paste it over there. That's just an example. Now I can do the same with a few more other call out links over here. So what I might also include is a link to where the client deliverables are. So I might call it deliverables. If I can type, go over there. Love it. Do another one. I can include a Slack link. So if I have asynchronous communication with my clients, that is, we don't have to jump on live calls or Zoom calls where possible, we can just communicate through a messaging platform. I have the invitation link in case they or another member of the team wants to jump in. And last but not least, I might also include a call out, which might be instructions. So you may record a Loom video or any kind of narrated walkthrough that helps them work their way through this entire dashboard. Now, I'm not going to include it yet because we actually haven't built out the dashboard, but once you have, you realize that it might be helpful just to help them get started for the first few times. So you don't really have to hold their hand in real time, but they can actually kind of self-serve when they're ready to jump in. I like creating these separators just to really keep a clean layout. So if I go that backslash and then hit divider creates that little line break between. The next step of what we're going to do is we're going to build out your database. A database is really an organized collection of projects, documents, or files. I'm going to hit backslash. I'm going to go BOARD to enter in board view. I really like this because it's a great visual layout for both you and your client to see how many projects are in the pipeline or the status of requests. And as you can see, Notion's already built out a pre-made set of statuses as not started, in progress, and done. Now you can work with this, or you may have more stages in your production process or your creative process that might include ideation, planning, revisions. And the really cool thing about Notion is you can build out more as you go. So the really handy thing is if you click on the plus icon over here, you may want to have a different view because you might prefer, for example, to have things all laid out in a table view. So what's happened is all the same projects are still within the database, but it's just a different way of visually representing them. In this example, if I was to go new and to create a new request, it could be either for a video, a design asset, something you want to create, and the details of the request go here, you'll now see that we have a new request over here. And you can actually drag it across all of these categories or all of these columns depending on the status of the project. But if you also click on the table view, you'll notice that it's appeared here and these same elements or same properties have also carried across. So now that we've got our database laid out, this is going to be how you're going to manage each of your projects, sub-projects, or any work streams within your scope of what you're delivering for your client. Now I'm going to show a feature where we can add and refine what the properties are of each of these projects. This helps you filter and assign different properties to the projects depending on what your layouts are going to be. So we've already had the status property included. And here you can obviously see what they are, change their colors or amend them. So if you ever want to change what they are, you just click on the property field over here, you hit edit property, and this is where you can add more if you want to. So you could say pause, and we could change the color of that if we wanted to by just navigating to that. Awesome. If you want to assign it to a particular individual, if you're working with a team, this field might be helpful too, depending on whoever's in your Notion workspace. But if it's just you and you're a solopreneur, I think you can often delete that field. Instead, you may want to add other fields such as when the project is due or when the delivery is expected. So if you add a property over here and hit on date, you can change it to delivered by, and then you can change when it's due. Another recommendation that I have with these fields is potentially including a file or media link. For example, if there is a brief or a specific asset that your client wants to provide, you can write asset upload over here, which helps to include over there. If there are any relevant links, you can also include a URL. What I also include with my clients, just to make sure that if there's any quick notes or things, I also include a field just called notes, and you can just enter in whatever you want over here, which is like a reminder to send to Joe Blow. All right, there's an example. Now that we've got those fields set up, in additional views over here, you might see this little icon over here that looks like a filter. And this icon over here called a sort. Using these properties, you now have a powerful way of actually sorting or creating custom views according to one of the properties. So for example, if you only want to filter for projects that are in progress, you can go filter, status, and projects that are in progress. And now this dedicated table view over here is in progress projects only. For me, I keep things pretty simple. But again, if you want to maintain a number of different views that help you track all the projects at different stages, I usually find that the board view is more than sufficient for what my client and I are doing. Moving on to the third part, this is where your work gets streamlined and systemized. Instead of creating a brief from scratch or request from scratch every single time your client requests it, Notion has a powerful feature called templates. Here, once you create a template once, you never have to do it again. What that means is every time you duplicate it, all of the same pre-filled properties over here and any content that you've written below, such as your brief, are already included. So in about 1 second with one button, you can reproduce everything you've done in the past. Here's one I prepared earlier. With one of my clients that I produce educational videos as a pre-package every single month, you may want to include a brief where you get them to summarize basically an overarching view or 10,000 foot view of what you want that video to include. And then to make sure that the brand voice is incorporated with what I share in the video, I want them to include some of their language or some of the key features that relate to what they want to promote in that video. So as you can see, I've broken it up into the intro and hook, about 2 to 4 key points of what I want the video to be, aiming for between 30 and 60 seconds, and then an outro. Totally optional space as well, but a story or a script board if I want to add any more information just to help guide me when I'm producing the video. Now, the really cool thing is every time a client can now hit new, it's automatically going to pre-fill all these details so I don't have to write it out every time. And that's also a benefit for the client because every time they have a new request or they're ready to submit one, they just hit new and they can then go fill it out in their own time. They don't have to chase me up. I don't have to send them a brief. It's already there, saving you a lot of time and streamlining it. Cool, so just going back to our page that we have over here, you can now build out a template and you can call it something like new request. So according to the kind of deliverables that you provide your client, pre-fill out all the information that you need or that you need them to fill out. I can include brief, and that can be number 1, number 2, number 3, additional notes, number 1, number 2, number 3. And now, if I make sure that I set that one to default up here for all views, anytime someone hits new, it's going to pre-populate what I wrote before. Now, obviously, please clean this up and make it relevant to what you have. It's a really nice process to save time and to make sure that you and your client can keep things moving. Then once things are ready, you can move them across to wherever they are in the project and you can update their status automatically. Right, and we're nearly there. Your client portal is looking really, really good. You've got all the key links that your client needs to manage or to update their engagement with you. You've got a project dashboard to manage all of your deliverables or all of the requests one by one. And finally, I'm going to add a divider over here by hitting that backslash and divider. If you work in a creative space where you have specific brand guidelines, for example, colors, fonts, or any other considerations, you can actually include some space down here where I'm now going to simply go backslash H1 and I'm going to simply go brand guidelines. I'm going to include space where I'll say file. A client can upload their brand guidelines if they have a PDF document for you to follow, or if they've shared, for example, logos, font packs, colors and guides, you can actually just drag them and upload them here. So in my example, I have a fictitious company called Acme, and they may have a color guide that looks a little bit like this. Yes, very boring and creative. They might have a logo that looks a little bit like this. So I'm just dragging it in at the moment. And they might have another logo that I'm just going to drag in and put like this. So it's just kind of like a central hub to have all the assets. Alternatively, they may have a single Google Drive link or a cloud-based link that has all of their brand's assets for you to use. Because sometimes when I've bounced between clients, I've forgotten the specific hex code of a brand's color or what was the font that they needed to use if I'm jumping between different captionings and options like that. And that, my friend, is a really, really easy way to set up your own client dashboard. It's only going to take you 10 to 20 minutes. Obviously, we stopped and shared a couple of nuances and you can tweak and repeat this one. But once you've dialed in one that looks really, really good, and again, shows incredible professionalism to your clients that you do mean business. If you want to create a video tutorial that talks your client through how to use this, you might use a tool such as Loom or TeleTV to record a tutorial where you narrate how to navigate and to create new requests. Now, assuming it's done, because here's the one I prepared earlier, you could actually embed it into this field that we have over here where it actually walks them through how to get started with the dashboard. My pro tip for this is record one that is evergreen. So avoid using the name of the client or the brand they work at. Instead, make it like very, very generic so that no matter who opens it, it can stand the test of time. So that way you have this evergreen resource that guides them through how to use the template. Now note, you might tweak and change your resource in the future, or you may change your entire database. If so, just re-record a new video narration. It won't take you more than 4 to 5 minutes. Replace the video that you currently got in your client portal and then go for gold and let them know that it's ready to go. Once it's ready, all you need to do is hit share, and there you want to enter the email of your point of contact, name@acme.com, again, a fictitious name. You might just give them edit access, or you might want to give them the ability to share with others in their organization. So once you do that, you hit invite, and it's going to send them an email to ask them to join this dashboard. If they don't have a Notion account, it'll simply prompt them to sign up for a free one, but if they already do, they can get started straight away. So what I typically recommend is that if they've sent their invoice or confirmed their payment, you simply go straight into the dashboard that you've made for them, or you create a new one, just like I have over here, and you can duplicate it. You then share them into it, and then you send them a message to confirm whether by email or your messaging platform to welcome them, be grateful obviously for your partnership, and to let them know that if they have any questions navigating their portal to reach out to you. But hopefully it's self-explanatory, and with all of your instructions and guidance that's going to be easy to go. Now, my friends, I do know some of you may be watching this and thinking, damn, I just wish I had this pre-built for me. If you're interested in grabbing a pre-made Notion template that you can just like plug and play into your business, give it a couple of tweaks, I've included a link where you can pick out this exact template just in the description or wherever you're seeing this video. All you have to do is head into it, replace it with your own links, add your own branding, your own coloring. Every time you duplicate this template for a new client, you just share them into it. So if you're interested in that, you can head underneath this video. But as I said, if you use everything in this video and follow it to a T, you've got the keys to your kingdom to get started, creating your own client portal for your productized services. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments below. But otherwise, because I trust in the YouTube algorithm gods, this is the next video that's recommended for you to watch. So I'd say if you haven't already, my friend, either click on that video or this video ends. Hope you have an awesome day. You're still here. Seriously, click on that video. I'm going to end in less than 10 seconds, probably 5. Click on this video. See ya.